Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today's video is a little bit different because most recently you might have noticed I've been trying to get on camera more and say hello in person. And today I'm not doing that. I'm actually out of town for an unexpected visit and I wasn't able to film videos before I left. And so I brought some crafting supplies with me. I didn't want to leave them behind for too long. So I'm going to be using the Peaceful Roses stamp set from Gina K Designs today. And I'm stamping it onto some Fabriano Artistico Extra White watercolor paper. I'm going to be using some Gina K Amalgam ink. And I've recently heard that this is kind of sold out everywhere right now. And this was my first time trying it out. And now I totally get it. I understand why people are trying to get their hands on this ink. I was really impressed with how well it performed. I stamped it like in my hotel room here. I've stamped it on watercolor paper and also onto smooth white cardstock. And in both cases, the ink performed very, very well, especially when I used my Misty stamp positioning tool and stamped it multiple times. I just very lightly stamped down. I didn't really, I didn't give the stamp CPR. I didn't press it down too hard, and I was able to retain the very fine line detail of all the stamps that I was using, including this one from Gina K. So because I am traveling and I'm in a hotel room and I didn't think through packing all my supplies as much, I did not bring a board to tape my watercolor piece to. So since I'm not stamping with my Misty right now, I decided to go ahead and just tape it to the door. And then I used that as my hard surface while I was painting. So the watercolors I'm using today are from Magello. These are the Mission Gold watercolors that I love. And I'm painting with, I think this is a size 2 brush from Escada. This is their Prado line. It's a line of brushes that are meant for watercolor and acrylics. And I have to apologize for my voice. I'm actually doing this voiceover fairly early in the morning, and so I'm not my usual like totally awake voice. So I hope you guys are okay with that. Anyway, I wanted to talk you through a little bit of this watercolor painting because when I'm at home in my craft room and I'm painting, I tend to just paint intuitively. Sometimes I don't really have a specific process in mind. I just paint, and if I see something that I feel like it needs to be a little darker, then I'll paint a little darker, and I'll use my heat tool and speed up the drying and just paint from beginning to end without a lot of thought about the specific process I'm using. So later, when I'm editing my videos, I sort of have to think back on what exactly I did, and I try to convey to you guys my thought process and what I've been doing. But as I was painting this, and I just pushed a desk in front of the window in my hotel room, and I had my camera clamped to a lamp so that I could have my phone hovering over this painting here. I was thinking about the process specifically, and I wanted to try a very methodic order of things. So I first painted a flat color over the entire image. I did a light pink on the large flower, a light pale yellow on the smaller flower, and then all the leaves, a nice flat green. And by the time I was done painting those colors, then that pink flower was pretty much dry enough that I could go in with a darker shade. So then I went in with a darker shade on all of these images and added a little bit more intensity. And I made sure that I painted from where I knew the shadows would be. So the interior areas of the flower where the petals are all pinched together to the stem, those are always darker. Really, no matter what light source, wherever the light's coming from, those areas are going to be darker just because the petals are very close together. So I added the darker shades on the interior areas of the flower and kind of down near the base of the petals. And for the leaves, I added some more intense color mostly down the center area of the leaves where it has that line curving around the leaf shape, and then also up nearest the flowers that the leaves are next to. Because I figured the flower would be casting a little bit of shadow on those leaves, and so that's where you would get some more intense color or some shading. So this pink flower that I'm painting right now, I I had a sort of a little bit of trouble with it because I felt like the colors were looking too flat. I used a pink color and then I wanted to use a little more of an intense pink color for the shadows. But I also realized that shadows aren't just a darker version of the color of the object. Shadows generally have a second color in there with it. So, for instance, when I'm painting this flower, I wasn't really happy with it until I brought in one that had a little bit more red in it. The color that I originally painted this flower was more of a pink or purpley red, and once I brought in a much more intense red shade, it's going to change the overall tone of the flower. And then you know, internally, when I was like trying to think intuitively about painting, I kind of had an internal sigh, like, okay, there's the flower. That's what it's supposed to look like. So, and speaking of that intuitiveness when it comes to your art, a lot of people have asked me, they're like, how do you design cards? How do you actually make the design of your card? How do you know where to place things and, where you want the different elements? How do you even start? How do you know where to go from? How do you go from a completely blank piece of cardstock to a finished card? There's a lot that happens in between those two points in the process. How do you bridge that gap? And for me, I've been doing graphic design and now card making for the last 10 years. I've been doing it for a long, long time. So it's hard to think back and dissect that intuitiveness, I don't know what else to call it, of my entire process. So it's hard to think back and kind of pull those pieces apart and really figure out where it comes from. So maybe I'll just give you guys a couple little tips here until this video's done. There's only a couple minutes here left. Um, when I look back on my process, I realized that there are a few things that help me a lot. One thing that really helps me is I try to build up my encyclopedia of knowledge in my brain of what looks good to me. If you are aware of things around you and you can really recognize something that speaks to you, that looks designed well, that will really help you be able to recognize it and even pull it out of your own brain when you're trying to create something. So, having like a catalog of knowledge in your brain to pull from is an amazing resource. So, if you're struggling with coming up with your own designs, I really encourage you to go out there, look on Instagram, look in tons of different places. And when you're drawn to something, when you're drawn to a card that it looks amazing and you don't know why, really look at it and try to figure out why you like that card. Is it the different colors that are used on it? Is it the juxtaposition of the different images? Really get to know that. Once you hone that skill to recognize what looks good to you, you will be able to draw that out from within yourself and it will reflect in your own work. That was something that I learned in design school when we were trying to figure out what looked good and what didn't. I think if you hone that taste and that ability to recognize what looks good to you, I think it will really help you kind of bridge that gap and get some more ideas out onto paper. And it's not even so much seeing something that looks amazing and then making something exactly like that. That's not what I'm referring to. It's more that you have seen so many things that look amazing and that really speak to you, and that when you look at it, your mind thinks, yes, this looks purposeful and it looks finished. You've seen that so often that when you start working, you can analyze your own work in the same way. And then you recognize when you're to that stopping point and things look finished. I hope that makes sense to all of you guys. This is kind of a weird voiceover. I'm doing this early in the morning. My voice is weird. I'm kind of tired. So sorry if I'm rambling on, but I hope you guys enjoyed this painting video, just painting some flowers. I didn't even get to finish this card because I did not bring adhesive with me. So I can't even put this card together and show you a finished card, but I did want to show you a little bit of this painting and have a little chat. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support with my videos. I appreciate you guys so, so much. And I will be back hopefully very soon with a regular card video. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.